A very good day to everyone. My name is Shimin, and I'll be presenting on a qualitative study of shift duty police officers on the job breaks. Now, this research really started because I was interested in how police officers can sustain at work despite their long shift hours. It is well established that shift work and shift hours have adverse impact on employee outcomes across different occupations. It is also well established that policing is a stressful and demanding job, but the current reality is such that police officers are put on compressed work schedules with limited scope for work flexibility. So how do they then mitigate the adverse impact of their shift work and facilitate their recovery on the job? Which I realized that the research in this area is somewhat limited. In this next section, I'll be briefly sharing on the literature review to this research. In terms of policing shift hours and outcomes, there is evidence suggesting that the existing work schedules and demands lead to unpredictable, irregular, and long work hours for police officers. And this leads to their fatigue. There is also evidence that policing work leads to negative outcomes in terms of their health, work performance, safety, and certain negative behavioral outcomes. However, there is actually no specific research examining the role of on-the-job breaks on the adverse impact of job demands faced by police officers. However, research on shift workers in general showed that on-the-job breaks are effective for managing fatigue and maintaining performance. And such breaks are more effective when taken during times of need and when they are longer periods with lower frequency. Research evidence suggests that on-the-job rest breaks are associated with less near misses, injuries, and accidents. However, there is limited research examining the antecedents of on-the-job breaks. And what's available suggests that the potential role of both organizational factors and individual factors. So this leads me to my current study. The aim of this study is to examine the nature of on-the-job breaks undertaken by shift work police officers, how such on-the-job breaks are related to their recovery and resource replenishment, as well as how work and individual characteristics affect the officers on-the-job breaks. In total, 21 frontline officers were included in this study, age range between 23 to 40 years old. There was a deliberate oversampling of female officers and officers who have children to ensure that the experiences are adequately captured. So all the officers would have at least 1 year of experience on ground patrol so that they're familiar with shift work and the hours. In terms of the procedure, one-on-one qualitative interviews are conducted with these officers. It lasts about an hour each and is audio recorded with permission. The interview takes the form of a semi-structured interview to allow participants flexibility to provide detailed responses. There are 5 domains altogether in the interview schedule. They include shift duty demands and challenges, the impact of the shift work, the characteristics of their on-the-job breaks, the effects of breaks, the barriers, and supporting structures. Thematic analysis was used to understand the various themes associated with the officers on the job breaks. To ensure accuracy and reliability of the data, the principles of constant comparison and category saturation is adhered to. Furthermore, efforts were made to introduce checks and balances to the analysis process by developing an initial codebook and also have a research intern code a sample of the transcripts independently for comparison. The ethical requirements were generally met in this study. So in terms of the results, there were 3 main teams and 10 sub-teams derived in the study. I will go through them quickly. For the official breaks, officers typically get 2 official breaks per shift of 90 minutes length in total. They prefer lesser breaks with longer frequency, and common activities to meet their biological needs include handphone use, socializing, having shut eyes as opposed to napping, and to complete administrative work. By and large, they do not view physical activity or training as restful. Unofficial breaks were generally not officially sanctioned, but practiced very widely on the ground. They are typically opportunistic in nature and needs dependent. So they happen usually when officers feel strained, particularly from their work demands. Looking at the impact of breaks, the timing and the activity of the breaks were found to be important. So they shed a greater need during the night shifts. They feel a better meeting of their recovery needs from the unofficial breaks because they were usually taken on a needs basis. And they actually feel more refreshed from relaxing and having a shut eye as compared to, say, using their handphones. In terms of the subjective experiences during the breaks, we noted the importance of relaxation, having partial mental disengagement, and also social connection. The majority of the officers also felt that the impact of missed breaks is much stronger than that of being able to take their breaks. While this is not uncommon due to their work nature, they've also noted a decrease in their missed breaks over the years. For the third main team of barriers and facilitators, the officers shared that the support from the organization has generally been improving over time, although the impact of these measures were not uniformly felt. Support from their supervisors and their teammates are generally positive, although they do indicate that the presence of individual differences can detract from their recovery breaks. The officers have indicated their nature of work and high job demands, coupled with the perceived limitation in resourcing as potential inhibitors to taking their on-the-job breaks. On the other hand, they also indicated non-work factors such as the support or demands from their personal life as a factor on their recovery breaks. And lastly, they also shared on their strong work ethics in boosting their resources at work. Now, in conclusion, for this study, we found that the broad characteristics of the police officers on the job breaks were largely incongruent with the earlier literature, such as having official breaks versus micro breaks, and also the types of activities that they undertake during the breaks itself. However, okay, perhaps due to the different context of their jobs, there were some differences found in terms of the impact on their recovery and resource replenishment. For instance, they prefer less frequent but longer breaks as opposed to what has been found in the literature where workers in the industrial setting tend to prefer actually a more frequent short breaks. Now, secondly, they do not think that physical and learning activities contribute to their recovery. Okay, so this kind of contrasts with the current literature, particularly in the external recovery literature, where it was found that actually physical activities and learning activities do tend to show up their resources. Thirdly, they prefer having shut eyes to napping. And based on what the officers shared, it's possibly due to the difficulty to rouse from the deep sleep and also the impact of sleep inertia in affecting their alert levels at a time when they actually have to be called out to attend to calls immediately. And lastly, they do not mind working during break times so as to preserve their off work times for recovery. In terms of the factors influencing recovery breaks, there is further evidence on the impact of job demands, supervisory support, and co-worker support. And at the same time, the influence from the from the family work interaction and work ethics is also found. In terms of the research implications, the study suggests that there is a need and avenue for further internal recovery research for employees in shift work arrangements and also for those who are in demanding vocations. This is because they do have unique work contexts and may make the break activities and their recovery experiences different. And also, we thought that it would be better to understand the potential impact that these internal recovery can help with their recuperation during these long shift hours. In terms of the practical implications, it suggests the need for both official and unofficial breaks to actually make shift work sustainable. There is a need to encourage officers to undertake break activities that facilitate their recovery, encouraging supervisor and also co-worker behaviors that are supportive of break-taking behaviors. And also lastly, to help families and friends understand the demands and challenges of shift work. In terms of limitations, in spite of the study procedures taken, there might still be some effects of impression management, memory effects, and also retrospection bias. So I've come to the end of my presentation. These are my key references for my paper. And also, this is the citation if you're interested to look into this study further, and also my contact details should you have any questions or comments. Thank you very much.